mum kind of deceived me about, and I don't think I'm going to now. But yeah.
What thing? What thing?
It's like Ali's basically having a baby shower, right? So, because they're due in August. Yeah. So.
That's number 2.
Yeah, number 2.
Oh,
you weren't aware? Oh no. Oh, I'm sure I mentioned it to you, mate. I'm sure. No,
that's news. That's complete news to me. No,
yeah. They're having a second, and it's due in August. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, no, they don't know the sex of the baby. It's going to be a surprise. But yeah. So basically, yeah, they're doing a baby shower. Obviously, that's all just women stuff and everything like that. So Ben and all the dads and all the kids are kind of just hanging out at their place and having beers and stuff like that. And then when the baby shower's over, everyone might mingle a little bit more and then go home, sort of thing. But like, obviously, I don't know any of these people. They're all Ben's friends. They're all dads. There's loads of kids, all that sort of thing. My mum made it sound like it was more of like a family thing. I found out it wasn't, and it was kind of. So I'm just like, by the time this wraps up as well, because I said I wouldn't be able to reschedule this. It's, it ain't gonna happen. I don't think. So I'm probably just gonna go home, play some Final Fantasy, and chillax.
Rad.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Right, so let's get a link. Get us going on socials. Oh, I wonder if my video's working. That'll be a treat.
So I also did like a restart of everything. I restarted like my laptop, updates, Discord, OBS, all that sort of thing. So if there was anything on my end receiving you as well, then that should hopefully be averted. So maybe we're all good. You look fine.
I think we're good.
You look fine.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah, it could have been both of us, to be honest. I admittedly haven't rebooted my laptop in a while, so it could have been partly me as well. I don't know how loud I sound, by the way, because I've got the same volume slider, obviously, is in OBS, but I'm using a different mic right now to what I normally use, so it's closer to my face. I might be a bit more intense. I don't know, but
I think you're a bit louder, but you could always do with like a couple more decibels anyway, so I think we'll be fine.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Come join us on the... Tim, give me a vehicle.
No, you do the vehicle this week. I've given you a HGV and a limo so far. I tell you what, just horse carriage.
Come join us on the fun horse carriage. Give me a country.
Let's go Mexico.
All the way to fun Mexico.
He's just so incoherent. They don't work in drawing in audience.
It's like an in-joke, man. And then if somebody says, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I say, "You'll have to come and watch the show, won't you? You idiot."
Okay, yeah, that makes sense actually.
Yeah,
that's some high IQ players.
Yeah, it is. All the way to fun Mexico.
Booting up Chrome. To get the notes up. Don't ask me to sign in, please. Yes. We take small wins. Dude, I gotta say, I saw you fucking tweeting. Did you?
Yeah.
Did you? Oh, you're covered right now. That's my bad. Did you fucking tune into the court case live?
Yeah, I got in a few times, yeah.
God's sake, dude, you're so boring. How was it?
It was fun.
I couldn't think of anything worse than watching a fucking court case.
Well, I was just listening to it while I was playing Diablo. Just like a podcast.
God.
I got in a couple of times.
That's funny. I saw those tweets and I was just like, God, you actually couldn't tie me to a chair and make me watch something like that.
I wasn't watching it. There's no video.
Oh, yeah. Listen, yeah, just, I guess if you're doing something else, it's not so bad, yeah, but...
I don't know, some of it, I find it quite interesting. Like, this is, like, you had Phil Spencer on the stand, you know, people are talking about trying to... Because it's a lot of, like, console war points. Like, there's a lot of points that people, like, you see online get brought up, and I was just like, it's interesting to hear how it's spoken about in a court of law, which, you know, I'm clueless about, but... it's fun to listen to while I'm getting big numbies on Diablo.
Oh.
While I'm masturbating. That's right.
The fat numbies.
That's what I do. And it's quite funny because there was a cap. There was a 1,000 person cap to the call. So, and it was like pretty much always full. It's got to be one of the most high profile, like tech cases ever, if not the most, because gamers like me are fucking weird and will tune into this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
it's funny. Okay. Again, just to be clear, this means the podcast has started.
every week.
Oh. And that's if everyone can still see tweets. You haven't hit your rate limit because Elon Musk is being a fucking pleb.
Is he doing that? Is he?
Again, yeah. It's like the servers were having trouble, so they were like, "Yeah, we've limited how many tweets you can see. If you're a paying member, you can see more, but you're still limited." Like, what?
Jesus, dude.
Stick to fucking rockets.
Publicly stoned soon.
Stick to jet fuel, rocket fuel. All right. Let's double check the video just to make sure that is all good. It is. We fucking did it, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm really interested to see if this.
No, it's working. Don't try and break it. What are you doing? Try and break it off air. What is wrong with you?
Did it work?
What do you mean? I can see your Discord. Yeah. And you're a tiny deck now. That's about it.
Okay.
Is that what you were trying to achieve? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it was, yeah.
Great.
It's good to know if I really wanted to, I could just put up a little Mario in the corner, like a frog Mario, Who knows? Like the possibilities are endless.
Don't give him a new idea for a game deck.
I don't think that's new. That's every Mario game since like 19.
No, just an entire game.
The 1800s.
The fact that Mario's been turned into a frog.
Yeah.
And now he needs Princess Peach to come save him, and you play as Peach, and it's only her kiss that can transform him back. Nintendo, call me.
Yeah, the Princess and the Frog crossover.
Sorry, they don't
like
kiss.
Disney crossover there.
Peach always just bakes him a fucking cake, doesn't she?
Yeah,
which I think is symbolization. Because behind closed doors, Mario's going to get a different kind of cake.
Mario's getting slammed behind closed doors.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of fucked up, isn't it? Like, she's not interested. She is not interested.
Yeah.
It's like, Mario, at some point, you just got to give it up, dude.
Yeah, at some point, yeah.
She doesn't want to say.
You've got to understand, she's just baking your cakes, man. No, just drop it.
It's her occupation. She just makes cakes.
Take a hint, bro.
The cake's like a Bowser cake as well.
Yeah, I love Bowser, not you. Like the icing on it. Yeah.
He's
stop
delicious.
saving me. Yeah.
Yahoo! Fucking idiot. All right. Let's do this, man.
Let's do it.
Just don't break anything. There we go. Just tell you what. Let's move my notes. Okay, are we jingling?
Oh, we can do. Yeah.
Always with the jingle.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Quick Cuisine Podcast. Your go-to place for total fucking nonsense, bullshit, really just not high quality conversation.
Yeah.
My name's Deck. It might be a pseudonym because I don't want to be associated with the Quick Cuisine Podcast, and that might be Tim. It might also be a pseudonym.
Yeah. That's me.
Yeah.
I'm one of those things, whatever that word is.
pseudonym. It's like a small green alien. It's like a little Italian man with a red hat.
Ah, yes, I am one of those. Yeah, that's me. That's a me.
How about alias? Do you know what that means?
An alias? Yeah, I know what an alias means. Yeah.
That's what pseudonym is.
Oh, okay. It's just another word for an alias, is it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
What about a pseudo alias? Yeah. Well, I have to type it all the time in my essays because I have to pretend that I'm not talking about my clients by using fake words. So.
Oh, okay.
Pseudo. Yeah.
Check you out.
I know. It's pretty hard. Pretty cool. Very good stuff. So, Xbox, innit?
Yeah. Right. Xbox, innit? I haven't played it for like a week, 2 weeks.
Oh, I have. I got the new dashboard. That's the most exciting thing that's happened in my life. For the Xbox side of things. If you're in the Delta Ring, boot it up. You'll have it.
I do. I am in the Delta Ring actually. Yeah. I did boot it up, and I might have noticed some changes actually. But I booted it up the other day. I ended up just watching some anime, but
I saw that. I saw you go on Diablo for like 10 minutes and then go on Funimation.
Well, I went on Diablo, and then I think as I came on, everyone switched games. So Caden just moved on to Street Fighter. Jake went on to YouTube, and then you were just playing, not in a party with anyone. And I was just like, okay. I'm just gonna watch anime then. But like, if you guys were all like in a party together, I would have joined and like committed. But yeah, it looked like everyone was.
On.
Yeah, and it was like, I can't remember what time it was. It must have been like 9:30 or something. So it just kind of like everyone was winding down by the looks of it, or they had been playing it and they were moving on to something else. So yeah, but I almost did.
We almost got him on the Xbox.
Yeah,
in preparation for his podcast.
Yeah. Hey man, it's okay to take a break from your main console.
I know.
You don't need to play that all the time.
I know. I'm with you.
I've moved on to bigger and better things. I'm a single player gamer now, man. All I do is play single player games. Hi-Fi Rush, Resi 4, Marvel. Yeah,
I fucking know.
Final Fantasy.
It's distressing.
That's it. I'm done. I'm done with co-op and multiplayer games.
What am I meant to do? Like, I can't be speaking to those other nerds all week.
That's true.
I need some Tim energy in my life. It's highly upsetting.
I do want to play Diablo again, to be fair. But like, I don't know if it's the sort of thing where like I get it out of my system now for a little while and juggle it at Final Fantasy, or if I just commit fully to Final Fantasy, enjoy maybe like Remnant when it comes out, and then when that burns out, then burn Diablo hard. I just don't know, because I am really excited for Remnant 2. Yeah, and Remnant 2 is more like, I don't know, I feel like there are some times in Diablo when I was playing it with everyone back when we were all on equal levels and stuff, I was just like, am I doing anything here? Like, what's going on? Like, we just absolutely melted that room, and I was like, if I walked into the next room and just didn't press any buttons, would the result be the same? Like, am I doing anything here? It does sometimes. Yeah,
that's end game stuff though. Like I said to you, one of our friends hasn't looked at his build because all he's done is tried to be carried through his level.
That's insane. When you text me that, I was literally like, what? What?
He didn't know. Yeah, he was just like, oh yeah, I didn't know. Like I didn't know. I don't know how to play the game because I've been so desperate to catch up with you on levels. And it's like, it's not how it doesn't matter how high a level you are. Like, you need to have a fucking build, dude. You just had random shit like in all his slots, and I was
but like, in all fairness, it was working, right? Like he was still just there with you guys. You guys weren't struggling and stuff like that,
No, he was just like, it was like a Nightmare Dungeon modifier. It's like, you have to revive your friend every 10 seconds.
Oh, was he always dying, was he?
Yeah, he just gets popped. Like,
what is he
someone
playing?
looks at him and he just dies.
I can't remember his class. Barb, he is Barb, is he? Yeah.
Which is rough because it's like Barb and Druid like die the easiest because they're like,
in the thick of it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're close range. So and it's one of the more gear dependent. It's not as bad as Druid, but it's probably the second worst in terms of being gear dependent. So yeah.
Nice.
Well, hey, Tavish is here. Hey, man.
Hey, Tavish. But yeah, that's basically been my my little week though. Is just bits and bobs of Final Fantasy, gearing up for The Witcher season 3. You know, we're rewatching season 2 now, just to sort of. Yeah, Tilly kind of wanted to. I didn't mind either because I hadn't watched it in a while, and The Witcher is always good fun. But we're gearing up for that, and yeah, I've been playing a bit of Final Fantasy. And yeah, that's about it, to be honest. Yeah, just still really enjoying that. That game is just very good. Yeah, I'm just really enjoying it. It just takes you on a journey. You know, it's the cutscenes and voice acting in that game are like some of the best I've ever like witnessed. It's just so like it's fun to sometimes just put down your controller and just watch a cutscene. Like it's just great. Yeah, so yeah, I'm still having a great time with that. But yeah, I won't bore you with the details. But yeah, that's about it.
Well, you can do, but you know, there's two things I wanted to add to him. Firstly, do you think you're ever going to play The Witcher? As someone who's watching all the seasons, or like, you know, like trying to get through it again. No, you played it. You know, tried to give it another crack.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it? Because yeah, I watched The Witcher, and I love The Witcher, and I've even read like 4 or 5 of the books as well. But I just, for some reason, I just haven't played the game. So well, I have, but yeah, like you said, I never got super into it. I don't know, to be honest. At this point, probably not. Because there are so many RPGs on the horizon. Probably not. If I'm honest, with sort of Remnant coming out, and then Starfield, and then like Dragon's Dogma is probably like early to mid next year as well. So when I'm wrapped up with Starfield and stuff, that won't be too far away. And then you got like Avowed, and then you know, odds are probably not at this point. But yeah.
Interesting. And the second thing I wanted to ask you, well, I wanted to float the idea of you target completing Final Fantasy for season 1 of Diablo, because then everyone's making a new character anyway.
When is season 1 of Diablo?
We don't have a day yet, but they've said mid to late July.
Oh yeah, it'll be easy. Easy be able to do that. Yeah, I think Final Fantasy. This is actually kind of one of the shorter ones. I think it's like 40 hours or something like that, maybe. Which is still long, but for like a JRPG, that's quite short for a JRPG. Like generally speaking, yeah, you boot up most JRPGs like Nier Automata or like what was the other one I was playing?
Dragon Quest.
Yeah, Dragon Quest was another one, but there was another one I was playing as well. Tales of Arise, you know, those sort of games, they're like 70 hours. Like they're so long. So Final Fantasy is kind of like a mid to short JRPG. So yeah, I'll be able to wrap that up by season 1 of Diablo quite easily, I think.
In actual fact, I'd be willing to bet that just to really put a spanner in the works, they'll put it on the exact same launch day as Remnant.
What, the season 1? Yeah.
I bet that'll happen.
It would be quite a tactical move, I think. Yeah.
But I think that would be okay. I think they those two games would work well, you know, to play at the same time.
Yeah, Remnant's more you're in the action of it, right? It's less button mashy, it's less mind numbing. It's it's like you're actively shooting, you're actively aiming, you're actively dodging. You know, it's difficult. You know, Diablo is a bit just like half switch off your brain and hit some buttons sometimes. Yeah, I think you could probably play them side by side. Yeah, I agree.
But I'm still loving Diablo 4. Let me tell you, when I say that's a good dad game right there.
None of the dungeons that long then, but you don't need to actually sit down and commit too much time to it.
Not really. I mean, when we play as a group, one of our friends, or Jake, has like this. Like his build is fucking stupid. I don't know what he's done. Like it feels like he has a mod on at times.
Yeah.
So if we're as a group, we usually get through them quite quickly. If I was to solo them, I can still get through them quite quickly. Maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. So they're fine. But one of the end game things, I don't know if you know how it works, is that there's like tier 1 to 100 nightmare dungeons, and when as you go through them, you get higher level ones. You can craft them as well. So basically, the idea is you're either speed farming nightmare dungeons to get uniques, and high loot and XP for paragon points, or you're trying to push to the next one because there's like the final thing you want to do is get to tier 100. There's also Uber Lilith, end game boss, So and that's probably just half of the stuff. But nightmare dungeons are your main thing. But they're easy to hop in and out of and have a good time. So cool. I'm starting to move on from I'm trying to gather gear for my tornado wolf build, which is like their end game druid one at the moment.
Okay. Nice.
I'm still Hulk smashing everything, but
what's the highest tier dungeon you've reached?
40. I think we did 40 last night.
Okay. Nice. It's pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. And they're being quick. They're being good with the patches. There was like a buff across the board last week for like all characters.
It's their saving grace at the moment, isn't it? This game. It's the only thing keeping them from being in the bin.
Maybe, I don't know. I think World of Warcraft's still popping. Like I think their last expansion was quite well received. The Dragon 1. So, but Overwatch is obviously the PR hit at the moment. So
everyone fucking hates Overwatch.
So it would seem. So that's it. I don't know what to do. I did start up Planet of Lan. I just I think for 20 minutes or something. Again, that game is fucking gorgeous. Like holy shit. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like that side scroller. It's on Game Pass.
Not sure.
Small indie game. You'll probably recognize it. It's been at a couple of Xbox showcases and things like that. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's so pretty. I can't believe how colorful it is. Like I literally booted up and I was like, my eyes.
Oh yeah, I know this one. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah, it does look really pretty. Yeah,
it's kind of got this Studio Ghibli vibe. And you know me, I like those sort of short, pretty, well-crafted indie games.
Pretentious.
I mean, I do like pretentious games as well, but I don't think Planet of Lana is one of them.
Yeah. No, I'm kidding. I was only joking around. Yeah. No, it does look very pretty. Yeah. Well, I think Tavish agrees with you. Planet of Lana is one of my games of the year so far. Music is unbelievably good.
Yep.
Nice.
Xbox continuing their trend of day one Game Pass, indie games are just fucking awesome with that. I wish they had a better marketing angle for it, because I really feel like everybody really fondly remembers Summer of Arcade, but I wish they had something. I know they have idea Xbox. Yeah, but it's just not. It's not packaged as coherently for a marketing beat. I don't know. All of us know about Idea Xbox, but it's not something which people are like, oh wow, look at how good these day one Game Pass indie games are. I feel like they could be another step there, but
yeah, I agree. I guess.
All right, shithead.
Wow.
Let's get into the news. Honorable mentions. I think we touched on it before we started the show, but just for prosperity, I got the new dashboard. Anybody else got the new dashboard? Holla to my dashboard bros. It's very good. I'm a big fan.
I thought this one wasn't actually like that. I thought they kind of just made everything a bit smaller and shifted them down or something. I didn't think
that's
this
pretty
one
much it.
Yeah.
They condensed it lower, but there's no big tab. There's no big one on the left. They're all small, and they all maximize as you go over them. So and there's tabs across the top. It just looks a lot sleeker. It looks a lot more well put together. It gives more more attention to the background. Yeah. There's still more tweaks that could be done. Don't get me wrong, but it's a big upgrade in my opinion. It looks way nicer, and especially when you scroll down. Before they used to have the groups you could put in. I thought that was okay, but it was a bit buried. Now it's kind of just Game Pass stuff. So I think, but it's organized very nicely and compactly, but the customization needs to come back. So yeah, really good overall. I'm really happy with that. I think that dashboard needs kind of that breath of fresh air. So I'm glad that's it. I think everybody's going to really love it when it goes public.
Yeah. No, actually, I'm quite looking forward to it. Just give me more of a social tab as well.
Give me, yeah,
Give
give
me
me more
that.
social
Give me
stuff.
that shit. I want people to know that I play single player games now to completion.
Yeah, that's right. You can
That's
just
what I want
record
to know.
spoilers.
Yeah, exactly.
To
Yeah.
completion. Yeah, that's right.
That is really annoying though. They like my YouTube feed. I like some people. You know, when people just have like walkthrough channels where and all they do is just play the game and then they just do, part 1, part 2, part 3, and they just change the thumbnail slightly. Yeah, there's this guy who's on my YouTube feed, and he put spoilers in his thumbnail, and it really fucking pisses me off. Like sometimes there's just like a fat picture of like a fucking one of the bosses in Final Fantasy, and I'm like, I didn't even know that guy was like still alive. So thank you so fucking much. And it's like, why is that there? I just don't understand. I hate it when people do that. I feel like it shouldn't be allowed. I don't know.
Should be illegal.
I,
Yeah.
I don't know how YouTube would like monitor that. I don't know, but I don't know. He's just doing it for
It would
fucking
have to be.
clicks.
You'd have to be community moderation.
Yeah.
Go and give him a fat thumbs down. Go and report that.
Yeah.
That bod.
But yeah, it really triggers me. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's annoying. That is really annoying. So that's great. While we're on the dashboard thread, on the sly, Xboard. What's happening?
Are you all right?
I think I am.
You had a decent amount of water today. You had breakfast.
I mean, I'm just having Calypso. Yeah, I had a bacon sandwich. I'm having some Calypso. Maybe it's
all those E numbers fucking with your brain, dude.
Yeah, fucking E numbers, man.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Why is it a number? What makes E a number?
Good.
To be fair, E133.
That's one of the worst for you.
Was it really? You know that, do you?
No. Yes.
It's the 133rd worst.
Yeah. It's truly awful.
You don't want to have E1, like, Jesus Christ, that's...
Yeah, E1, you're done, mate. That's it.
Yeah. E1 done.
Yeah, E1 and done. That's what they call it.
All right, I'm going to try again, so just shut up for a second. Microsoft Rewards monthly bonus round got reduced from 2,000 to 1,000 points on the sly. I'm not happy about this. You know, I'm a Microsoft Rewards addict. I'm on like 160k points. You know, I'm really accumulating some wealth. And this is it's half that, so I'm not happy about this. The only thing I can think of is that they're trying to move it around and bundle it in more of a way that PlayStation Stars has, which kind of seems to be the direction it's going. So I hope there's a trade-off here, but I feel like they would have communicated it if there was, rather than just slashing it in half and not saying anything. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. Yeah, they definitely need to do more things of just general interaction with your Xbox, like just play a game. Like literally just like give your rewards based on how many hours you clocked over the course of the week or something like that, right? It shouldn't don't necessarily force people into playing specific games or stuff like that, you know. Just if someone wants to play Apex for 8 hours a week, I still feel like it would be nice if they could reward them for that. They're still on your platform, they're still logged in, they're still enjoying Xbox, you know, just reward them.
Yep. Like achievement ones, great, even, you know, good. Yeah, like play a game. Like there's some like really specific ones, like log into State of Decay and save 3 villagers. It's like, I'm not gonna fucking do that. Just let me play it. Just like, if I want, I would actually consider, and I've done it before when there's easy ones. I've like, well, I've actually thought about playing that. I'll boot it up for 20 minutes and I have fun, and then I don't go back to it. And I get the achievement. I'm like, well, actually, you know, that was kind of fun. I don't know. I think it's fine to do that, and I like that Xbox has this ecosystem where you can just jump on a game for 20 minutes rather than like have to sit down for 2 hours to like feel like you've actually, you know, accomplish anything. You can just get a taste of a game and be like, yeah, cool. That's fine.
I guess so.
Third honorable mention, and I'm only keeping this as an honorable mention because potentially this could be, you know, the hidden showcase number 3 of June, or I guess early July, which was Project Dragon, you know, from IO Interactive, that was spoken about during the court case this week. And it is confirmed to be published by Xbox Game Studios. And the reason why we thought it wasn't is because, it was rumored that it would be. And then the job, they announced it. They were like, we're making a new fantasy RPG. It's very ambitious. But they didn't specify any platforms. And so we thought, oh, maybe that publishing deal has fallen apart. Maybe it has. But the information that we do have from the documents is that as of 2021, there was an agreement in place to have Xbox Game Studios publish this game. So that could be exciting, but maybe it's not, and that's the reason I've kept it in the honorable mentions rather than the main news. It might fall apart, but I liked the artwork they put up before. I think IO Interactive is quite talented, and why not?
It's the reused assets of Scalebound. Let's be honest.
If only, yeah. If only.
It's happening. This is Scalebound too.
You kind of look like the guy at Scalebound.
Well, I'm not blonde for a start. I don't have a demon arm. The only thing is the fact that I have headphones on. That's about it. I don't even think he has a beard.
How do we know you don't have a demon arm?
That's true. I have a demon arm.
The thing is,
the cricket, I got really burnt yesterday. You can't really see over the camera, but I did get burnt.
Oh my god. I'm sorry, man.
Stop comparing me. I don't look like that person. I know what he looks like. I look nothing like
headphones.
Him. Yeah, that's it.
You've got his like same eyebrows, and your nose is quite similar. In my opinion.
I'm a reused asset. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, you're a reused asset.
I was born from a failed project. I've been told that many times in my life.
Okay, I didn't say that. I did not fucking say that. You need to have some respect for yourself.
Everyone heard it. You're fucking toxic.
Okay. All right. So into the big boy stories. Perfect Dark has a bit of a yikes. A bit of a yikey poo. A report from IGN of all places. Could you believe it? Spoke about kind of the development of that game, and it's been a bit of a nightmare essentially. And there were staff that were flooding away. Well, there was a big bunch of leavers from the initiative over the last between like 2018, which I think is when it was formed, and maybe 2020. Sounds like a bit of mismanagement. Sounds like there was no agreement from the higher ups on like what they wanted the game to be. So people got pissed off and they were like, I want to do something. So they left. Apparently that's because if you remember, apparently they were developing with Certain Affinity, and then that relationship kind of went to the wayside, and now it's Crystal Dynamics. And it has been for a while. And there was a bit of a power struggle apparently on like who was actually developing the game and who it's coming from. But essentially that seems to have stopped now. Things seem to be running a bit more smoothly, but the game is still in early development, roughly 2 or 3 years away from being ready. So thoughts on that?
It doesn't surprise me. This game has kind of been in the dark for a while, and it's pretty obvious it's had some development troubles, even right from when we knew it was a thing. Like, you could tell there was just some struggles there internally, and it really doesn't surprise me that this is still years off. And I gotta say, I don't want to be like negative, but a game that goes through stuff like this doesn't often turn out to be a very good game. Even if they get it back on track or whatever, there's just still, I don't know, man. There's just something about like when shit struggles this much internally, the product just never quite has the same hit or like feel or like love to it. I don't know, because it's just had too many hands in that pie,
Whoa.
So I don't know, man.
Cannibal pie.
With everything I've known about this game since I've heard of it, I have to admit my expectations are pretty low, and they might end up shitting the bed with it. But equally, if they take their time and they're like, fuck it, let's make sure this is back on track, and then we still let's still leave it years to develop it. Maybe they can do something with it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't lie. My confidence has been shaken a bit, which is a real shame because obviously this started as a real optimistic studio, wasn't it? It's meant to be this kind of hyper talented bunch that have come from loads of different studios, and that talent has bled a bit, not completely. And I don't doubt that they'll recruit up again. Hopefully they won't make the same mistake again. But yeah, my confidence has been shaken a bit. I just hope the thing is, this doesn't bother me all that much because Xbox has so much coming now that they can afford to just let them cook. Like, they're not in a rush to get it out the door in the same way that like Halo Infinite was. When they delayed it once. I know that's kind of its own debate, but when they showed it off too early, arguably was a symptom of that issue. So I'm okay with them taking their time here. I do hope they get it right, especially one of these legacy IPs. What Xbox does not need is another hit to the reputation of bringing back an IP, or and then killing, damaging the legacy of the IP. I know the last Perfect Dark that came out was an Xbox as well, and that was like not received as well. But generally, the IP still has meaning, and it just would be not a good look. So I hope they do take their time and just get it right. Like, there's no pressure. You guys have got so much other stuff coming. Like, get the studio back on track, get the flow going, recruit up again, and release it when you're ready. There's really no rush for Perfect Dark. And it does make me think, like, why the fuck did you announce it? Like, I do have this problem with Phil, where he has been on record before saying, like, one of the things I've learned is that we shouldn't show stuff off too early, and then repeatedly they keep doing that. Ultimately, I think it is a symptom of like just not having content. Like, we don't have much to show, so we need to show something. Which hopefully is a problem which shouldn't be there anymore now that things are flowing with Bethesda and all the rest of the internal studios. But nonetheless, something like this was announced at the Game Awards, which is a bit needless. And even like Hellblade, when they announced the first Xbox, I guess they wanted to pair it with the first showing of the Series X. I guess they wanted to pair it with a game, but it's just like, these games are being announced so far off. Why? I don't know. It sets themselves up for failure a bit. So anyway, yeah, studio should be fine.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the last thing we need is another talented studio to shit the bed with a good IP or like a new IP or anything, and then we end up just leaking talent and they go elsewhere, and I feel like that's happened a few too many times. So yeah, take your time with it and just no rush. But yeah, safe to say that this is not. This is shaking my confidence. I'm genuinely not very excited or counting down the time till this releases.
Well, I just need to see something. That's all. All we saw was the CGI teaser, which was quite cool. But like, what Joanna Dark is and what Perfect Dark is old enough where we can assume that the formula is going to be rebooted a little bit. So it's hard to get excited about something you don't know what it is other than the IP, and especially it's before our time, really, at its peak. So yeah, just let them cook, and I think the team will probably get it right. Because as well, like with Crystal Dynamics working on it, Crystal Dynamics are a good team, and Daryl Gallagher's still leading it, who was responsible for the reboot of Tomb Raider, which did great. So I have confidence that they'll get there. It's just I hope they're given the time, which they really should be, because Xbox should not be in a rush to push this out. The only other thing I wanted to touch on from this story, Tim, is that, again, from the IGN story, I think it was Rebecca Valentine, I want to say. It was a really good report. What she'd heard from ex-employees is that it might be, although we don't know because the game's still in early development, it might be in an episodic format. Which I read that, and I thought, oh, I don't know about that. And then I thought about it a bit more, and I thought, well, actually, I mean, if they nail it, I have no reason, a 5-hour episode every, I don't know, 6 months? Sure. Like, if the gameplay's good, if the storytelling's good. I mean, it's definitely not it's not conventionally how we consume video games, but
yeah.
I don't see why not. It's how we consume TV shows. Like, what's the difference to you? You know, you're saying you don't like it. Why is that different?
I don't know. I just don't really like the idea of booting up a game and getting into it, getting into the swing of it, like its gameplay loop and how it plays and learning the controls and all that, to then just have a to be continued, like kind of 1 or 2 evening sessions in, and then I have to wait another 6 months. Then I become completely unfamiliar with it again, have to learn the controls, the way it plays again, and adjust to it because I've been playing different games in the lead up to it, and then I'll rinse and repeat 4 times maybe if they do 4 or 5 episodes to this thing. Like that doesn't sound very appealing to me.
So to you, there's a learning and
It's just
unlearning
jarring.
element.
Yeah, it's too jarring to go in for such a short time, dip your toes, and then.
But what's such a short time to you?
It's the same thing to what you say when you can't play too many FPSs at the same time because it's too jarring to switch between Halo and something like Apex. You know, stuff like that. You learn different things. You get used to different games, and to learn something and then for just a short time and then not pick it up again for 6 months and then play it again, and yeah, I don't know, not a fan.
Because of course, a lot of other companies have seen success with an episodic format.
Yeah, but they've been more like fucking
Telltale.
click to play.
And
like, they're not
Hitman.
like actual shooters and stuff like that, really. Apart from Hitman. But most of them are just story-driven games anyway, with choices and stuff like that. Plus, I don't think their gaps are too big. I don't know, like how often like Walking Dead and Wolf Among Us seasons came out. I don't know how often it was. I feel like it was like every 2-3 months or something, but I could be wrong. But yeah, but again, I haven't played any like episodic games for the reason of it just doesn't really appeal to me.
I did the same with Tell Me Why, which I think they brought one out every week, and there was 3 chapters. But you know, it depends. Like, point taken. You know, there is a learning and unlearning element to it, but it depends what we're talking about. If we're talking a 4-hour episode and then wait 6 months, maybe not. If we're talking a 10-hour, which is like a short, you know, if it's something like Hi-Fi Rush was, I don't know why I said that so weird. It was like 12 hours. The Last of Us Part 2 is like 14 or 15. So is Uncharted 4, you know, so they're like full games. I think you could feasibly do something in that sort of size, and I'd be interested to hear like how that would affect development as well. You know, it just depends, because like I could also see it working well with the model, but if we're the Game Pass model, but if it's like, you know, a 90 Metacritic game, you know, and it's a 10-hour episode 1, you know, you get all these mechanics and it tells this self-contained story, and then yeah, maybe there is a bit of a cliffhanger. Episode 2 come in holiday 2024, whatever, straight into Game Pass. I could see that being fairly exciting. It just depends. You know, in the same way a sequel would, but just more frequent.
I mean, it fits the Game Pass formula of like, yeah, being episodic will keep people subscribed, probably, right? You know, they're like, oh, I really enjoyed that, and it's 4 months till the next one, so I'll just play some other games on Games Pass in the meantime. I won't cancel, and you know, they can squeeze out 4 months rather than somebody just boots it up, plays the game they want, and then cancels their subscription. It kind of fits in that model. Yeah, I would agree with that. But yeah, I mean, it's just a personal thing. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't appeal to me that much. I would just like to have the full thing. I don't know.
I think it also, because I am with you. Like, I think it really is more of an answer to the question of how do we develop ongoing, how do we make continuous money off ongoing single player content rather than multiplayer content. And it's why you're seeing, well, maybe not as of this year, but generally a slowdown of big AAA single player blockbusters, because they're not as profitable, you know, as much as a lot of some people, you know, there's that big contingent of people on YouTube and Twitter who like bitch about everything modern gaming, but really what they're talking about is specifically AAA single player blockbusters that's profit margins really aren't that big, and for them to be big, they have to be industry dominating. And then they're like, why don't they just make more like this? And it's like, it's not that fucking simple, is it? To make a, you know, a zeitgeist of the era like an Elden Ring is. Like, why don't they just make more Elden Rings?
Yeah.
So I think it is a bit more of an answer to that question of like, how do we make a service single player game? Like, is that a good answer to that question? Yeah, like I don't know. It potentially solves that, and it, you know, depends. Do consumers want that? I think maybe. You know, there's a lot of demand for smaller games at the moment, with some of these games ballooning up in massive size, and you know, lots of multiplayer games. I think there is a demand for like smaller games that you can play for 10 hours, and then hey, come back for episode 2. That'll be coming straight into Game Pass, and you can pick that up and where you left off if you want, and you can still play episode 1 if you want. That's still there. You know, maybe you can hop in there, you know, in the weeks leading up to it. Maybe there's a training mode or whatever, you know, just to refamiliarize yourself with combat. I don't know. I feel like there is scope for that to be experimented with. I just don't know what it looks like. And I absolutely agree with you. If it's bungled, it could be really bungled. Like, so yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, it could break up quite a meaningful story into weird chunks that you don't really remember and you lose interest in and stuff like that, and you never actually fully become invested in it because of this time gap that's between all of them. But yeah. Hey ho, it's sure, it's I would agree with you that there's no reason why you shouldn't experiment with it, but yeah, it could potentially be good.
It's an interesting one. It's because it's a bit of an uphill battle, you know. Like you said, I think a lot of gamers would feel the same way. And I felt the same way as well initially. You know, I'm not sure about that, or but interesting. Yeah, we'll see how you know, that might not be the case. We'll see how it turns out. But yeah, it was an interesting read. So, is one of the things that came out from the ABK drama this week was the Xbox. Well, some of the documents, I think it was leaked. I don't think they were meant to show all of these. Tavish will know. You can correct me if I'm wrong. They showed like a massive watch list for potential acquisition, and it's like fucking ridiculous. There's like, I don't know if you caught wind of this, but there's like every studio under the sun is on one of these lists.
Oh god, yeah. I didn't catch all of it, no, but I've seen some of them.
Yeah. Bungie was on there at some point, which is kind of interesting.
Okay. Never made a play for it though.
No, well, you know, supposedly the rumors were that Microsoft were discussing with them, maybe in like 2020, was it? But Bungie's asking price was too high. Obviously, Sony then saw PlayStation then swooped in, and yeah, I would argue that it was a high price. It was like 3.6 billion or something, wasn't it? For one studio, when Xbox paid 7.5 for all of Bethesda. But the meaning of Bungie to PlayStation is more valuable than Xbox because they can provide live service expertise and cancel their games, like, you know, The Last of Us multiplayer.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, just have a look at that list and let me. Is there anything that jumps off the page to you of like, oh, that's an interesting thing for them to be looking at?
So this is including the one developers to watch as well, yeah.
Just any of them, yeah. Any of those screenshots I've got there.
Fat Shark.
Fat Shark.
Very good one, yeah. Obviously, Moon Studios. Why that's not even a thing already, but
they didn't want to be acquired, unfortunately.
Yeah. So that would be a good one. Yeah, those have jumped out to me. I mean, Mundfish have shown they have been. I know they're still they're new. Obviously, Atomic Heart was their first like project, but you know, based on how that turned out, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a pretty good one to get. You know, especially as I don't think that'll be too expensive. And they've shown they've got some pretty good potential there. Yeah.
And those screenshots, the ones that I just put in a fourth at the bottom, because I realized I hadn't put it into the notes. They're not even the big ones. There's like a one at the bottom which has like so many, and it's like, what? do you have whole like roles for this where people just like search Wikipedia pages and they're like, yep, we could have them.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, people have to do their research and due diligence and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, nothing's off the cards, right? But oh god, there's even some publishers in here as well. Yeah, like fucking Sega. Just buy up Sega. Yeah.
CD Project Red is there. FromSoft is there.
That could be good for indie games dropping into Games Pass. Devolver do great indies.
I will say, I hope that CD Projekt Red and FromSoft are not acquired by anyone. They just do not need acquiring. And
yeah, just let them do their own shit, and they do it so well, don't they? Or the CD of, you know, they took a hit, but I still think they're very talented. Yeah, and they brought it back. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot. There's so many here.
Yeah, I can see you literally squinting to try and see all of the studios.
Yeah, it doesn't help that it's not the best quality either, but
yeah, definitely
is what it is.
Remedy would be perfect. Xbox needs a Remedy for sure.
Which Remedy is that? Remnant and stuff
Alan Wake, Control,
okay.
Quantum Break.
Who does like Remnant and stuff like that? I could have sworn it was Remedy. Or is it someone who sounds similar?
Remnant is the same guys who did Darksiders, isn't it? Is it like Dark Horse Games or something like that?
No.
Darksiders. Gunfire Games.
That's it. Yeah.
Crytek would be a good one. You know, it's just everyone's. It's Supergiant. Yeah, get the Hades team. Get them.
Not in here.
Yeah, where the fuck's going on with Behemoth Chicken? Get them in, would you?
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, the Hades. Yeah, they're super. Are they super massive or super giant? Which one?
Supergiant.
Supergiant. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah, and Hades. Oh, Hades 2 Games Pass. Let's go.
Studio MDHR. That's the Cuphead team.
Crytek.
Yeah. Very interesting. It's interesting that like Devolver Digital was there.
Not a bad one. They made some pretty good games.
Yeah. No, I like People.
And there's a good relationship there with what they did with Outriders into Games Pass.
And they're obviously making that new IP together.
Yeah.
Team Cherry, bit of Hollow Knight.
Oh, is that who makes Hollow Knight? Team Cherry. Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm still not familiar with the names. Interesting.
Yeah, High Res is on there.
Yeah, I skimmed over that one.
Smite. Yeah.
Not a big fan of that one. Well, been there, done that.
So yeah, this is really interesting, and it also
Gearbox.
So we're gonna come round to it, but like
Gearbox could be interesting.
Yeah, Gearbox would be interesting. A lot of the internet have gone into a bit of a whirlwind this week. It's been a bit of a mixed feeling because there's a lot of feeling of like, look, this is it. Xbox is trying to monopolize. Here's that email from last week from Matt Booty that said, no, that's this week. Oh, that's story number 4. Microsoft could spend Sony out of business or something.
Yeah,
that Matt Booty said.
I'm saying that.
Yeah. Oh, we can actually. Can we lead straight into that? Yeah, sure. Let's just lead straight into that. Yeah. So there was an email from Matt Booty in 2019. Was it 2019? Yeah, it was 2019. When Matt Booty said, we could spend Sony out of business. And just for a bit of context, the email thread, obviously the court showed this, was about PlayStation aggressively cutting them off with exclusive deals. And there was a discussion about the strategy around this, the acquisition strategy of sort of creating their own content that can't be attacked. And Matt Booty said, well, here's a different view to what you guys are suggesting. We're in a unique position where we could spend Sony out of business, blah, 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 blah. And just provided the hypothetical for it. It obviously isn't a good look, and I reckon the FTC did score some points in the court for bringing it up. But it wasn't. It was purely speculative, and it wasn't. That clearly isn't what they're doing. here, in my opinion. I guess I wanted to. What's your kind of understanding? What did you pick up from the stories you saw this week? If it reached you, then it broke into the casual audience. So, what do you think?
Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I think so. This was back in 2019. I think it's changed quite a bit, sort of the gaming industry, obviously between 2019 and now, and I don't think it's beneficial to necessarily spend someone out of business. Like, I think competition is healthy, right? I think it's good to have a main competitor or something like that. Um,
Yeah.
in some cases, I feel like maybe this was more appealing to them back in 2019, because it wasn't really going great, and the only way they could potentially see getting on top or actually just solely winning is to just straight up just buy everything and monopolize it. Where now, I feel like we have enough of our own IPs, enough of our own studios where healthy competition is probably more beneficial than just monopolizing, like, generally. um so yeah, I don't know. I feel like the years might have changed that and the way Xbox see that. But yeah, like you said, it's not a good look, right? And it just gives off that same thing where what everyone thinks when they think of Xbox compared to Sony is, Xbox, Microsoft, the big corporation, Sony, a little tiny yappy little puppy that is the underdog. And it's still winning. That's why we like Sony. It's just like it just reinforces that look for Xbox and Microsoft, doesn't it? That they're this greedy corporation that just wants to buy everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, not great.
So just to give a bit of context to the email, so I just found it, so I'm just going to read the first few lines. Quote, a different view to the general view below might be that we, Microsoft, are in a very unique position to be able to go spend Sony out of business. If we think that video game content matters in 10 years, we might look back and say, totally would have been worth it to lose 2 billion or 3 billion in 2020 to avoid a situation where Tencent, Google, Amazon, or even Sony have become the Disney of games and own most of the valuable content. For example, if it is practically impossible for anyone to start a new video streaming service at scale at this point, what content do you base it on? And then they go on to talk about, the struggles of Hulu and CBS All Access, which I didn't know was a thing, versus the Disneys, versus the Amazons, versus the Netflixes. So yeah, I'm with you. It's not a good look, and we should be clear. I don't think anybody. We're not of the view that we want X, because some people are like dancing on this, and it's like, no, I don't want Sony out of that. I don't want any of the current players out. I want more players in. I don't want that. So I do want Xbox to be able to compete. But clearly, well, one of the things that Matt Booty said to defend himself is that this is not only is it speculative, it was a different philosophy than what Xbox is going for now, which is obviously more of a publisher. Now they're like, we're going to keep the big stuff on all platforms. We are going to put our stuff in other places. We're not going to give our stuff to our main competitors, but we are going to make it more accessible. And that's the change in philosophy. And I think 2019 was probably that intersection of like, we need to make a decision of where we're going here, and
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think they were a bit more closed-minded back then, where now they realize that, just outreaching as much of their IPs or games as possible to different platforms and just making it more accessible is actually a better way to profit and, be more healthy in the gaming market. I feel like that's the direction obviously they're taking, and the more beneficial one. But back then, 2019, the situation they were in, a bit more closed-minded, and it was said more out of fear, right? Wasn't it, as well? It's just like, maybe we should do this before someone else does it, sort of thing, rather than, it was said out of the fear that someone else, or they were thinking that other people are also going to be doing this, and it's a case of, do we need to just get there first? It's like a race sort of thing. But obviously, the industry didn't really head in that direction, and obviously it's adjusted accordingly. So yeah.
And I think they also just recognized we can't compete conventionally here. We're too behind on market share. And if we do somehow, like them doing timed exclusivity deals for the next 10 years is going to cost them more and get the market share at a slower rate than just buying a publisher and leveraging exclusivity and keeping the profits. You know, if that makes sense. And that's the whole reasoning that Phil has said, and what's, you know, essentially been in the court here is that, like, we lost the console wars in 2014, 2013 when the Xbox One came out. You know, we lost the most important generation. You know, there was such a big fuck up there that there was such a big shift in market share. And because everybody got their digital libraries, you know, they're not that it's more the incentive to switch back it's stickier, you know.
Yeah.
To switch to a main console. Now you have, like, you know, maybe the hardcore like us who will buy multiple consoles, but for the most part, people aren't doing that. People buy one console and then maybe a second, maybe. And I guess that's the point of the Series S, to try and compete in that secondary console space.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, it costs them so much to make a timed exclusivity deal, like twice as much in the way that Sony does, because obviously they're paying for the game to miss, you know, not be bought by a bigger portion of the market. So they just couldn't compete in that conventional way. And this is a really interesting conversation because we're going to come round to kind of the internet's reaction to this, especially kind of from the PlayStation nation. You know, so I suppose I wanted to take a quick breather here and just have a bit of a full stop, because firstly, I just wanted to ask chat, if you're still here, if you're still with us, is there anything that you wanted us to speak about that happened that you saw in headlines? I'm not planning on taking us exhaustively through stuff. There are other really good podcasts for that. But if there's something in particular you'd like us to bounce back and forth on, we can do that. Secondly, the court case is now over. We're waiting on the judge to make their decision. Should probably happen mid next week.
Okay. I thought it was like 17th of July or something.
That's the date that the deal has to be done by, or Xbox gets a $3 billion fine, which they're not going to do.
Pocket change.
Yeah, but they're just not going to do that because then they'll have to keep pursuing it, and it's just wasted money. That's a Bungie. That's a Bungie right there. They'll have to.
That's true. Yeah.
So the whole idea, just as a reminder, the injunction that had been filed here by the FTC is essentially to delay the acquisition. So this isn't about accepting or blocking. The FTC want to delay it because they're saying we're hearing whispers that Xbox are going to put this deal and they're just going to complete the acquisition and deal with everything afterwards. And if that does happen, there's going to be immediate harm. So we need to delay this so we can fully think this through. That's what the court case has been for, the delaying. Xbox have said, if you get this delay through, we're going to have to pay the fine and we're going to have to go through so much more. We're going to drop the deal. They've said that out loud. So if this goes through, deal's dead. Not happening. But that's what they've said anyway. You know, maybe they don't, but that's what they've said.
Yeah.
And I'm inclined to believe them. If it goes through, the judge says, no, FTC, you don't need a delay here. You don't need an injunction. This is fine. The rumors are, and we don't know, is that Xbox is just going to close. Microsoft is just going to close and they're going to deal with New Zealand and the UK when that comes. You know, they'll go through the court dates. Maybe they'll just swallow the fine if they do find them, or maybe they'll win in court. You know, maybe the CMA will be a bit shaken and come to an agreement after seeing that Xbox win in court with the FTC. So, what I'm saying, I wanted us to take a quick breath and reassess all of this. Where are we at now after talking about this for fucking 18 months? Xbox has acquired Bethesda. That content stream looks like it's starting to flow. We had Hi-Fi at the beginning of the year. We had Redfall, which was a big, hopefully just a road bump. Speed bump? Road bump? Speed bump.
Speed bump.
And then we've got Starfield in less than 2 months, which is looking to be a real, probably maybe even the biggest blockbuster Xbox has ever had, dare I say. You know, maybe. It's up there with Halo 3.
Yeah.
What do you think about the brand at the moment, Tim? From where you're seeing, like, what's your interpretation of where's the brand at? Are we happy? Are we worried? What do you think?
No, I think it's pretty unanimous as well, right? I think pretty much anyone, Xbox fanboy or in the glass looking in, can see that this is probably the healthiest and the best pace that Xbox has been in for a while, right? In terms of what's been acquired, what's being worked on, what's coming in recent releases, what's banked for the next 2 to 3 years. Um, it's probably the best Xbox has looked. Like I can pretty confidently say that it's probably the I'm probably the most confident in the brand that I have been for a while. Sure, there still is the whole like you just don't know kind of thing about Xbox. Like especially with the recent sting of Redfall, where these games can be overhyped and these games are made by great studios, but you just you just don't know until it releases. I feel like that is just the gaming industry in general right now, but obviously the most recent sting has been of Xbox, so there's still not that 100% confidence in the products that they're releasing. But yeah, no, I think it's pretty damn good at the moment. Yeah, 100%. And then yeah, with the verge of this whole potential Activision Blizzard thing, with Blizzard being making some of our favorite games, and like ones that they got planned on the horizon, the whole survival one and stuff like that looks pretty shit hot. And
Infinity Ward are making a new game as well. Sorry to cut you off. Infinity Ward are making
okay.
a new AAA IP, which we know about. And if this deal goes through, you bet that bad boy's being exclusive, and that's going to be a good game. So
yeah, Infinity Ward are good devs, man. Yeah, it's good to see them not on COD. That's always nice to see. But yeah, all the revenue potentially coming in from COD and all that being, across all platforms, and that just streaming into Xbox, to fund more things. Yeah. I mean, even regardless of what the deal comes to as a conclusion, yeah, I think Xbox is the best place it's been for quite some time, like since like 360 era, like early 360 era, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interesting to hear you talk about it, because I was talking to some of our friends, on Xbox as well. I said, oh, the final day of the court thing's going on with ABK at the moment. And they asked me, there was like a bit of interest there. He was like, oh wow, how's it going? And I said, oh well, it's looking. I would say, my interpretation is that it's looking kind of in favor of Xbox. And I think I'm not alone in that. I think that's corroborated. IGN asked a couple of experts what they thought, and that was the same thing. A couple of like lawyers on Twitter have felt the same way. But there is FTC did get a couple right hooks in, so it just depends if they cast enough doubt over the judge to consider, is there immediate harm essentially. And it's ridiculous, because it has all come down to the Call of Duty thing. It doesn't, as I said, it needs to be about immediate harm. Cloud isn't an immediate harm, so while there may be an angle there, it's nothing immediate about it that can be stopped with an injunction. And secondly, Call of Duty, the only thing they made Phil, I thought we spoke about it last week. It's like, Phil Spencer, do you pinky winky, cross your toes, cross your heart, hope to die, stick a needle in your eye, that you're not going to make Call of Duty exclusive? That's the harm. It's like, could they close and make it exclusive? And would that be immediately harmful to competition in the industry? And they were just not compelling. So we'll come back around to that. But even our friends were like, yeah, like, I really hope it goes through, because it brings immediate, especially with Diablo 4 being the zeitgeist at the moment. There's a lot of merit in Blizzard, and our friends, we play a lot of Blizzard games as well. So that's just that's just a third of the equation. Xbox obviously wants to get a foothold in mobile, and all of the stuff that Activision do is good as well. And I just think it's interesting, because it's one of those few times, I reckon, in our lifetimes where the result of a case so explicitly feels like an injection of cash into my pocket. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Although the UK might get shafted in this, so Still never know.
We'll see. There's a lot of ways around it, from what I understand, but it is possible. But like I said, it's looking like the rumors are, the whispers are that Xbox are just going to close and deal with it. You know, let them deal with it. So
Yeah,
we'll see.
yeah.
So I think, I think it's interesting that there is like kind of a vested interest in the brand at the moment, even with the casuals, or maybe, you know, people who don't follow this stuff so clearly. They just want stuff in Game Pass is the bottom line and where I'm going.
Yeah,
Want stuff in
basically.
Game Pass.
Yeah. Yep, that is what tends to come to mind when I think about all this stuff as well. I'm literally just like, that would be cool in Games Pass. That would be cool in Games Pass. Like literally when we were going through those developers like on the watch list, that's what I said for like 90% of them. I was just like, oh, that was on Games Pass. Oh, there, the future stuff they make on Games Pass, that could be kind of cool. You know, this, that. Yeah, it's all about just padding out that library. Yeah, 100%.
The only kind of thing that I'm concerned about is that there has, you know, Microsoft have a history of pivoting a little bit, and particularly with their side projects, you know, whether that's Mixer or Windows Phone, you know, list goes on. Not as bad as like Google, but. And there have been emails, you know, like even from Phil. I think they were quite a while ago, maybe 2014, 2015. Might have been a bit later, where Xbox Phil had said like an idea that comes to mind. Again, speculative. An idea that comes to mind is that we ditch the Xbox brand and just set up a mobile gaming instead. Like these ideas have been floated. Because it's business, and mobile is the biggest growing entertainment industry at the moment. You know, it's like the biggest growing bit within the biggest growing bit. You know, within gaming, mobile within gaming, within entertainment. So that sort of stuff worries me. Like, I am a bit worried that it's like if the Activision deal doesn't go through, they spend so much money, and then in the next 5 years they don't see any significant growth, competing maybe in a more traditional sense that they are. You know, with the exclusives from Bethesda, that they have a big pivot like that. I don't think they will because they're investing a lot. But there is something in the back of my mind that's like, man, I hope they don't. I hope not. Whereas if the deal goes through, it's like a big commitment. It's like, you're not fucking getting out of this. That was a lot of money. You know?
Yeah, definitely. But I don't know, man. That's such a big decision. Like, what does that happen? What happens to like everyone's, like you said, like digital libraries and stuff like that? It's just like, what?
Stadia did
sorry, I just fucking wasted thousands of pounds. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends how they support it. I mean, a lot of digital things that have shut down before have kept servers online for like 5 years after the closure. Yes, it is big. You know, so I'm not. I don't think that is the case. I don't think you go on a spending spree this big to then just pull out. But there's just something in the back of my mind that makes me think like, it's just money, isn't it? So what do you fuckers care about?
At the end of the day, yeah, that is true. That's what it comes down to.
But the other side of that is obviously we see the brand really start to grow, and it is growing. The only area that's not growing, which I can think of, was cloud. The numbers they're reporting for cloud are pretty abysmal, and they're really making a loss on that because it's just not gaining traction, really. And I think it's a really neat bit of technology, but I mean, I understand why it's not. So I'm a bit worried they might ditch that as well.
But that's the most deciding factor in the court case, deck. Is cloud is just
scary.
Too much. It's going to engulf the world.
It's going to be like BioShock Infinite. We're going to living in the clouds. We're going to meet Zeus.
That would be cool.
Yeah, interesting. So I wanted to bring then the conversation around to, like I said, kind of the perception of it, because we're on the inside, and as balanced as we try and be, what's the outside world thinking about Xbox right now? And so this is story number 6. I think it might be the last one at the bottom.
Okay. Yeah.
And this comes from Colin Moriarty, over at the Sacred Symbols, the biggest PlayStation podcast, and I've got quite a lot of respect for those guys over there. They have really intelligent conversations, very long conversations. I couldn't do it. There's a lot of stamina there. About the industry, about PlayStation, and they're very fair, I would say, for the most part. However, this tweet I wanted to discuss. Quote, Xbox's argument is simple. Thoroughly outclassed by their competitors with access to orders of magnitude fewer resources over a continuous period of more than 2 decades. The only way to compete is through brute force. And they expand on it a bit more in the clip right there, and obviously over the 4-hour podcast that they talk about it. I'm interested. What do you think? Is this correct? What's your assessment of this? Have Xbox been thoroughly outclassed? Has there been, orders of magnitude fewer resources over the past few decades? Is this brute force? Would you consider this a brute force approach? Because I think this is how the PlayStation community are feeling a little bit, and I'm just interested on your interpretation of that.
What do they mean by orders of magnitude and fewer resources?
Just lots of less resources. The feeling is that PlayStation have had a lot less resources than Xbox has had because of Microsoft over the last 2 decades. And therefore, the fact that PlayStation have thoroughly outclassed Xbox by such a wide margin is, embarrassing. That's the angle, because Xbox has had access to so many more resources.
Well, I think immediately thoroughly outclassed is quite an exaggeration. I wouldn't say that PlayStation have thoroughly outclassed Xbox. I mean, I don't know what kind of time frame they're speaking about here. Like, is this just over the last 2 years? Is this over the last 5? Oh, 2 decades. Oh, it does say that. Again, I don't. Jeez, sorry about the blinds. Again, I don't think I agree with the term thoroughly outclassed. I think there's been areas and time periods where they have outclassed us and, sold more and done more of everything, and quality and quantity, all that, in like small time periods and stuff like that. But I think Xbox they've always been there, right? They've always been not magnitudes behind. And as of late, especially, it genuinely, this is, the closest the gap's ever been. And arguably that's because what they're saying is we're doing it with brute force, right? We're buying our way to get there. I don't know. It's hard to say. I can see it from their point of view, but then you could also argue that there's we're dealing with it in larger scale, and throwing a larger sum to just outright buy the studios and then make that exclusive. So it seems to the public eye and the casual gamers and stuff like that more offensive, right? More, giant organization buying everything, yeah, but like behind closed doors, Sony have been, money hatting these games and IPs and stuff like that for a very long time. But just when you do it in smaller increments, it's less noticeable, sort of thing. But it's still been going on, and it's been arguably just as aggressive, if not more, in some cases. So I don't know. It's the way that the scale of it and how it's perceived, right? The way Xbox are doing it will draw more attention to the public eye than the way Sony have been doing it. But yeah, so I agree and disagree. I do agree that they are smaller. They have had fewer resources. I will agree with that. But arguably that's changed as well, because generally with how PlayStation been going, they're the more favored studio anyway, so they just kind of get picked more over Xbox for these sort of things. And yeah, thoroughly outclassed. I don't know. I feel like there's only been very, very small time periods where you could technically say that they've been thoroughly outclassing Xbox. But yeah,
it's interesting. So to you, it's kind of because the moves Xbox are making are quite explosive, maybe versus
they're more explosive and they just catch the eye of more people, right? Because it's bigger numbers, it's bigger in your face deals that make headlines, that do this sort of thing, go to court cases and everything, where Sony are a bit more sly under the table with the way they do things, but arguably it's just as aggressive, if not more, in some cases. It's just a bit more, it just flies a bit more under the radar, I think.
So there's a couple of interesting points here, some of which you're making, but also the argument of resources. We kind of know Xbox hasn't, it's only really since Phil got everyone on board in like 2018 that Xbox has had a lot of resources. Before that, it was a bit of a side project. Like, yeah, it was run by Microsoft, but we know it didn't really get funded, so I find that interesting. 2 decades, I don't know. Most people agree the 360 won that gen, depending what that means. After the generation ended, the PS3 had outsold the 360 in units. Again, it depends how you're measuring this. Does that count? What about revenue? Most people, generally people feel that 360 won that gen. The beginning of Xbox One gen, so pretty much from 2014 to maybe 2020. Yeah, PlayStation had that locked down. Because Xbox went through a massive upheaval. The CEO left, and then Phil convinced Satya to get it on the big boy table. And it's just taken a long time to get that ship turned around. And to make matters worse, PlayStation really got into a good fucking groove over that period of time. And just started nailing everything, which they were not doing before. They had a couple of swan songs towards the PS3, end of PS3 with, Last of Us and a couple of other things, maybe Uncharted 3, can't remember. But so there was that. And then the other angle is, like you say, this brute force thing. So firstly, I do understand it is pretty rough that Starfield is exclusive.
Yes.
I think there's a move they had to make, but don't get me wrong. Like, don't get it twisted. If it had been the other way around and Bethesda's next IP was taken as an exclusive, that would be annoying to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's it's sounding like most of Bethesda's content is going to be exclusive. In court, Phil had said things like, The Outer Worlds 2 hasn't been decided yet. The Elder Scrolls 6 hasn't been decided yet.
But it will be.
I don't know, Phil. I don't know, buddy.
It's gonna be.
Yeah. Like, I would be annoyed. I understand that. Yes, I'd agree it's brute force. And yes, I'd agree with you. Like, the optics of it are maybe a bit worse because it's so explosive. Like, that's all ours now, and we're having that. Not all of it, mind you. So we're going to keep supporting the things that are on your systems. We're going to keep putting Minecraft on other systems. We are going to put our legacy titles like Quake Remastered, stuff like that. Fallout 4 Remastered, which is supposedly coming this year, But for the most part, pretty aggressive. You're right. And this is kind of one of the points of contention for me. In the internal emails, Xbox said that they view PlayStation as a hostile and aggressive competitor, because they're regularly like nipping at their toes, trying to take away certain groups of gamers off the platform. Street Fighter 5, Final Fantasy, you name it. List goes on and on. You could certainly argue that that's brute force. It's abusing your market share.
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you're so good at making games, just make your own games rather than taking away mine. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what they're saying. So, like, what the fuck are we doing here? Guys, it's business. Business do shit things. I'm sorry. I am sorry. And this is why I've always said to him, well, I think we both said, haven't we, that when we're talking about competition, to me anyway, competition isn't an inherently good thing. It's a good thing in terms of growth and innovation, but on a consumer or a personal basis, or even a value basis, you're not always going to get better things. You might lose things,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this is, with the whole exclusivity thing. And the Satya, when he was on the stand, talking about things, he was like, I don't really like exclusivity, to be honest with you. And that's reflected by his actions. He put Windows everywhere. He put Windows on Macs. He put them, all over the place, iPhones. But he said he essentially made the argument that PlayStation have forced us into this, which is like, maybe fair or maybe not. But point being, competition has its drawbacks, like intense competition, and unfortunately that results in exclusivity. So I think framing it as an Xbox only brute force thing is just a bit, maybe a bit one-sided.
Yeah. There's always, it's the whole takes two to tango, right? I will agree that to an extent, like you said, they've kind of been forced into it by Sony to an extent. And in some cases it's more aggressive, in some cases it's just as aggressive, right? But like, I think the way they're doing it, I think, is at least it's more clean cut, right? Just buying everything and just being like, yeah, this is ours now, sort of thing. Rather than just the not knowing or the dangling of the carrot, or I feel like it's more clear with the consumer, right? And I think in terms of like competition, exclusivity, and stuff like that, these things do benefit the consumer sometimes. And like you said, they don't in other cases. In some cases, competition is it'll hopefully result in better products, right? People are going to put more time and effort into developing great games to get people over to your platform, to sway people over from PlayStation to Xbox. You'd hope you get better products as a result of it. More time and money spent on these things to benefit that ecosystem. But equally you are going to lose some things as well. Unfortunately, business in any industry outside of gaming, any industry, business is going to have its negatives and it's going to have its positives. It's just one of those things.
Interesting. Tavish makes a really good point in chat. We've touched on this before. Did Sony brute force competing by buying Psygnosis in '93, or the 18 out of the 21 studios they own today, or buying 10 studios since 2019? I don't know what makes that fine, but buying all at once isn't. Yeah, I mean, this is exactly it, isn't it? Sony has been on a spending spree to get PlayStation where they are today. It was just a while back. And Psygnosis was the biggest publisher in Europe, I believe, or biggest, did they, I guess, publisher or dev? I can't remember, but they were big boys back in the day. And, those studios, that got them on the map, really. A map that Nintendo and Sega and, other companies had been generating, so that kind of got them cemented into the industry. This is obviously a bigger scale. I understand that. But we're talking about principle, the brute force principle, which it's just business. And, as to what you were talking about, Tim, the timed exclusive versus the acquisition kind of thing, what's better, what's worse. I'm not really sure if I can give you an answer to that, like on a economic or competitive, competitive level. But what I can say is, what does a timed exclusive do for a PlayStation gamer exactly? What does it do? It doesn't do anything, does it? You get to say, I can only play this on my console. It's good, that.
But then you still don't have that confidence that, the next one is going to be exclusive to that console or anything like that. It's just that one for now, isn't it?
That's right.
You don't even have that confidence that all future products are going to be exclusive to your console right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
And with the way Xbox are running things, what is the benefit of a studio getting acquired or becoming first party? Obsidian becoming first party, but that's becoming first party. We get it on Game Pass. Firstly, we get it on Game Pass, and secondly, we're given more places to play, places that they wouldn't otherwise have gone. And that's an argument that Xbox have been trying to make with putting COD on Switch.
Yeah.
with putting on streaming services. You know, these are options I now have, which wouldn't have happened before because Xbox are making that investment and they're innovating. This is why I don't think it's a necessarily fair comparison. There's a clear benefit to Xbox gamers when they acquire. There's no clear benefit to PlayStation gamers when they make these multi-million timed exclusivity deals. They don't get anything. They just get to say, you can't have this. You know, what is that? You know, so it's just a predatory move rather than like a pro-consumer move, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, I agree.
It would be different if PlayStation puts these games in their subscription service, but they don't. Final Fantasy is not in a subscription service.
That's true. Yeah, they still charge you $70 for that shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that was communicated to the judge a little bit. And I will say it's quite funny. The reason I said earlier, and I think, like I said, the consensus is generally that it was sounding like it was in Xbox's favor. None of us really know. Not even the Xbox really know. Was that they grilled the FTC at the judge grilled the FTC at the end, particularly around like this console theory of harm, to the point where she even stopped the guy at one point, the FTC guy, and was like, "We're not talking about PlayStation. There, we're talking about benefits conferred to the consumer." Because that word had hardly come up in the whole thing. They're just like, "Oh, it's going to harm PlayStation. It's going to harm PlayStation," you know. So it was, to me, from what I heard when I was tuned in, it sounded pretty fucking disastrous when they were trying to make the claim that Call of Duty being exclusive, which it won't be, could irreparably harm PlayStation, you know. Are we getting grilled in chat?
No, Tavish is being very nice. It's just wacky.
Nice,
He's just come in and started talking about shaving off our facial hair again.
He just won't let it go, will he?
No, he won't.
I like this. I do like this idea that he just literally got out of bed, opened his laptop, and was like, "These fucking still got their mustaches." Yeah. Maybe if you shade it off, his Jim Ryan would fucking shrivel up like a little raisin. Yes, Joaquin, we did say if we think it'll be granted. Tim hasn't been following this as much as I have, so my interpretation is that it won't be granted, i.e., Xbox will win the case. That's my interpretation. Obviously, you're talking to what might as well be a legal vegetable.
Two legal vegetables.
Two legal vegetables. I'd say you're kind of like a cucumber, maybe a carrot.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm just kind of done with this whole ABK. Like, sure, it's nice to see the headlines and talk about it and think, oh, will it, won't it, and all that, but I'm kind of done just following this to a fucking to like a really finite detail. Like, nah. You lost me, fellas. You lost me around the 9-month mark, maybe.
I think the whole community's done with it. We just want it to be over, whether it is or it isn't. Although I will say it is interesting that a lot of the community are finding themselves in a place where they are accidentally biased towards the deal going through. There's a bit of a sunk cost, isn't it? Oh, we spoke about it for so long, you know, it'd be such a waste for it to go through. I guess, you know, Xbox is still investing, guys. It's not going to be the end of the world if it doesn't go through. Because it's become this us versus them thing. And I just, that's what's made this quite hard to follow, I think. That it's no longer really been about an interesting thing. It's just become this, oh, Xbox bad, as per usual, you know.
Yeah. Indeed. And I'm sure based on the list that we went through earlier, I'm sure Xbox will just diversify in other ways, right? They're just gonna spend it in different ways, smaller chunks, studios that they like, have worked with in the past, whatever. Maybe they just won't go for the massive, you know, things like this anymore, because they got stung by it. But by no means, I still think they're gonna invest and they're still gonna stay. stick around.
Is there a reason you had to poke your microphone when you said that?
Yeah, no, there's a little bit of dust on the little logo. There's like,
oh yeah,
yeah, I had some dust on it, so I wiped it with my finger.
I see. All right, that's fine then. Tim is here. Hi, Timmer. Joaquin is in law school. Look at him go.
I would not have thought that.
Yeah. Can you be our lawyer? We've got like Tim has a history. Let me tell you.
Yeah, I got some shit, man. I'll send you an email.
There are skeletons in his closet.
Yeah, there's a lot.
At
Legit.
least.
I don't open up my wardrobe because they'll fall out.
Yeah.
So
they're like your coat hangers.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
Like clavicle, you just like a coat hooked over it.
It works. It does work.
Interesting. All right. Well, I mean, I hope we hear the end of this.
Me too.
Who knows if that will happen? I think I'm really hoping we do, because the unfortunate thing is, like, despite what everything Xbox has said, there is a real chance that the injunction could be granted, and even though Microsoft said they would not keep going on with it, they might appeal it. You know. So this could keep going, and I just want to get back to talking about first party games, because there's so many now, and like speculation, and you know, the dashboard and the features and what we want to see from Xbox, and it's like this dominates half the podcast like every fucking week. And even though it's been a bit more interesting for the last 2 weeks, in that, you know, it's still, there are many more fun things to speak about that allow us to be a bit loosier and goosier. You know, I think that plays to our strengths, rather than we're never here to try and be the most informed podcast. We will try our best, but there are people out there with more time than we have. So we're always going to be here to try and have a bit of a laugh and talk about what we think is good about the community and the ecosystem and what can be improved. So, I mean, hopefully everybody will stick around. It'd be quite funny if once this ends, if we just, our subscriber count just like halves.
Yeah. We're already interested in the nitty gritty of every single detail. Yeah. I want to hear about every job listing that was put on LinkedIn by Xbox this week. No.
Yeah. To be fair, that's why we've got Timmer. Like, Timmer is our resident nitty gritty boy.
He is. Yeah. And I love him for that.
And we love him for that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just not in me. Yeah. Like, I talk from a much more consumer level, which I think is a nice perspective to have. But yeah, like when it comes to this sort of stuff, it's interesting to a certain degree, and then it's just like, whew, like, I ain't tuning in. I'm not listening to no court case. Maybe Dex,
and that's okay, man.
And Dex great for that, but it's not my vibe.
Man. I think that's the nicest thing Tim's ever said about me.
Don't let it get to your head.
Just the hairiest podcast, Joaquin says. Is that true?
No,
we're the hairiest podcast.
We're not the hairiest podcast.
Maybe we are.
Definitely not.
Maybe we are the hairiest gaming.
But there's
podcast.
like some podcasts with like 4 guys in it. You're saying that we're hairier than 4 guys?
No, even the Xbox 2 have more hair than we do. Like, now, I won't stand for that.
Yeah, there are loads of people that have like full-on fucking lumberjack beards.
Maybe the most like well-groomed, if that's what you know. Maybe if that's what you mean.
I haven't even had a shower today. That's why I'm wearing a hat. So I wouldn't say well-groomed.
Oh no!
I can't believe I just outed myself for that. But I woke up late. And I had to walk the dog, and I had a shower last night because I got back from cricket. So I had a shower last night. So
he's stinky.
I'm not. I had a shower and then I went to bed. That's all I've done.
They can smell you.
Well, fun fucking being a one-man podcast next week.
Why is that like always? Why are you so desperate to abandon me? What is that about?
You can have the fucking... I'll turn off my camera and there could just be 2 decks. Does it work if I turn off my camera? We haven't tested this.
Not. Does it? I don't know.
What did I do? No, it doesn't. I'm still here. Damn it.
I do like it in the studio.
It's because I'm capturing you from Discord, but I'm capturing... I'm capturing myself from my actual face cam. So that's why. Anyway, Tim... What do you think if I do this? It's like I'm talking to it.
What do you think, Tim? I don't know, Tim.
Yeah. get into a fight with myself.
Okay, fellas, we're coming to the end of the show. I'm going to give you one opportunity while we ramble to bring one topic so we can wind the show down. Other than that, so that's, to the chat, if there's anything that you wanted us to talk about to close the show out. Other than that, can I remind you to like the podcast? Please like the podcast. Please subscribe. Please share. Do you know what? Can you share us? Like, I find that quite intimidating. I think I've been avoiding asking that question for a while.
Yeah.
Imagine if
I share things.
Imagine if one of our clips went viral. How fucking freaked out would that be? Can you imagine? Like IGN retweets a Quick Resume podcast. I look at this dickhead. He said,
"Look at these cunts." Yeah.
Yeah. Xbox community, led by rabid English fanboys.
Led by well-groomed English fanboys.
Yeah.
Xbox gamers don't shower? Question mark. I just become the smelly boy of the internet. That's my legacy. Yeah. Great.
That's your legacy, yeah, that's it.
Fantastic.
Smelly boys don't know fucking anything about ABK.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
Blue drinks consume the brain of an Xbox gamer.
Yeah. Why is he having a blue drink? He should be having a green drink.
Exactly. Okay. Oh God, a couple questions to come in. I wasn't expecting this. Too late. Podcast is over.
Of course.
I'm kidding.
Of course. We've got a wonderful small community, and we love them. All right, what have we got? Oh, now we've got to pick though. I didn't think this through.
Oh, are we only doing one? Well, if they're relatively small, we can do both.
Okay, you're right. Yeah. Okay. Tavish says, will Microsoft close the merger once FTC loses its preliminary injunction? Or will they abide by the CMA's order not to? I think they'll close. I think they'll close because if they don't, they'll have to wait past the July 17th date, won't they? Which means they'll take
the fine. Yeah.
They'll take the fine. And at least what they're saying publicly is that they just don't want to do that. So I think they close, dodge that. And then we go from there, which is good on one hand, but on the other hand, it does mean that this saga still isn't fully over because Facebook acquired Giphy, did the same thing. They closed early, and then by the end of it, sold off Giphy because the regulators were like, "Nah, you're going to have to do something that you don't want to do or pay a massive fine." And so they, that is a bit annoying because the chapter isn't fully closed yet, but that's my interpretation of it.
Okay, that's interesting.
Second and final question from Joaquin Branch, our law student intern mod. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're our intern now.
Jobs open. Yeah, job listing.
Unpaid.
Pay you £0 an hour. Yeah. Do you think Bobby Kotick's strong arm of COD with the 80% split is what's currently happening with Square? So this was Bobby Kotick basically saying to Xbox, we want a bigger split from you. Do it, or we're not going to make a COD for Xbox. That was the thing that happened that's been revealed through emails and all the court stuff.
Oh, really?
Is Square... I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. It sounds... The relationship Xbox has with Square is so odd that it makes me think there was some sort of internal difficulty, relational difficulty that just has not been fixed yet. And Square have good reason to not go back because PlayStation has given them heaps of cash. They're more familiar with the PlayStation workflow. No is my short answer. But of course, they are somewhat being strong-armed because Square are probably... Because they're stupid. Their CEOs are stupid with their expectations of how much money games should make. So they're probably coming to Xbox and being like, yeah, you see fucking... that Final Fantasy over there? We're going to need 10 bill for that. We need 10 bill
Yeah.
because that's what our expectation is of what that game's going to make on your platform. You know.
Yeah, because they were like really disappointed that Final Fantasy 16's like pre-orders and sales were low, even though they're fucking insane considering it's only on a single platform. Like they're really good numbers from what I've heard. Now, like I think digital numbers have come out. I don't know, but yeah, and it's just like well yeah, Final Fantasy 15 was on everything, so of course that's going to happen. What did you expect? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
Yeah,
agree. And they're never happy with anything. I don't think there's been a game in the last 10 years that they've put out that they haven't said at an investor's call, yeah, we weren't happy with the sales of that.
I thought they were quite happy with how Octopath did.
I don't know about Octopath. Yeah, I don't know about Octopath.
I thought they were quite happy with that one. Not sure about the second one, but I know the first one did. I think it went above and beyond for them, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Tim, hit the jingle. Let's round the show out. I like this. Tavish says, my prediction, Microsoft closes immediately and pays the fine and continues the CAT appeal in parallel. They use GeForce Now to give cloud access for UK cloud consumers. I largely agree. I don't think they're going to... to be fair, I don't know how it works with, like, can they just put those games immediately on in the UK while they're appealing? Like, I don't know. If that is what they're going to do, if that's what the assumption is. I don't think that they're going to... And maybe this is just, copium. I don't think they're going to divest in any way that results in Xbox UK having a different catalog than the US. I think they're going to either find a way around that, because that is they would have to create new jobs for that. They would have to create new systems. Like that is an intensive thing to then have to upkeep. Just like they do need a different Game Pass catalog in the same way that there's Game Pass PC and Game Pass console, like Game Pass Cloud.
Yeah. And it'd have to be so clearly like marketed and communicated, and it becomes very, very, very messy. Yeah, and so confusing for your consumer base. Yeah.
But I do agree with the first part. I do think they just close over it if the preliminary injunction gets denied. And then, guys, hopefully, we'll have our final decision one way or another. We can start, at the very least, start closing this page. And, I will say, as down as we are on the news, it is obviously quite exciting, the idea of Xbox owning ABK. It's a big shift for the brand. That is a lot of studios and a lot of games that are internal now. We'll probably see the company pivot to a little bit to more of a mobile presence, where I think there is wiggle room for things to happen if done correctly. That's a lot of fucking studios, isn't it? Imagine next year's showcase. They can't fit all these games in a showcase. They'll have to do a showcase extended, stretched out. That's another synonym for extended.
Elongated. Showcase elongated. Is that actually the first one that came up?
No. You just nailed it.
Oh. Xbox elongated. Doesn't sound right.
So, here we are. It's been a long 2 years. We're at the turning point. Let's fucking get this done. Let's get ABK done. Agreed.
Let's get this shit buried. But yeah, it is very exciting. I will agree with you there. And yeah, I want it. I just want it. I just want it done. But yeah, it's an exciting time. Yeah, 100%. So let's hope next week.
Even more exciting. We're in the build up to Starfield. So
we are. We're in the build up to a lot of games, man. There's a lot of shit coming out. Remnant 2 is very much on my radar. That game is going to be a fuego, I think.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Sweet. All right. Well, everyone, have a great rest of your Sunday. Have a great week. And we'll catch you next week for hopefully some good news.
Hell yeah. Catch you later, buddy boys.
Drink water.
That's my line.
Why is there a little speaker that comes up now? That never used to come up. Are you seeing that?
Really?
Yeah, it's like a big old speaker comes up in your face, covering your face when you click the air horn. Yeah, it's like an applause there now. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
It's really weird. Anyway. Bye, Ron.
Okay. Bye, Ron.